Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. As always, every alternate Tuesdays, it is Dr. Swamy time on PGurus. And today we have a very thought-provoking topic. And to talk about it, to discuss about it, pros and cons, let us welcome Dr. Subramanian Swamy, currently a Rajya Sabha member, previously a Union Minister for Law, Commerce and Justice. Dr. Swamy, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel, sir.
Namaskar. Welcome. I'm proud. I'm happy to be here.
Dr. Swamy, I'm just watching all the different trends that are happening in the last 6 to 8 weeks, and I'm even more convinced that India, in its next parliamentary session, has to pass the 3 bills in sequence. I don't know what state and form and shape they are. I don't even know if these are being considered at various secretary levels. I have no idea, but I feel that there is an urgent need, and I'm going to postulate that this is urgent, and I'll explain why. And these are first Uniform Civil Code, then a Population Control Bill, and then NRC, National Registry for Citizens. These things are, in fact, they are mandatory. Otherwise, India will become another Lebanon. You've been saying this, you've been warning us. I'm seeing the trends now. It's as stark as black and white. I have many instances to quote why I'm afraid that this is happening faster than we think. Dr. Swamy, your initial thoughts on whether India needs all these 3 in that sequence that I'm mentioning. What are your thoughts, sir?
Well, certainly we are all equality before the law, so the Uniform Civil Code is a part of that. Why should it be a bigamy for Hindus to have more than one wife, but not for the Muslims? So, the question is that a law should be such that it applies to everybody equally. So I'm in favor of that. I would like the courts are in favor. The Supreme Court has a number of times said this. And the Constitution, Article 944, explicitly says that there shall be a uniform civil code. And it is in directive principles, but directive principles is not enforceable by an individual. An individual under fundamental rights can go for every other thing, but as far as the directive principles are concerned, it is mandatory for the government under Article 37 to implement every item of the directive principles. So that includes this and so many others, like a ban on cow slaughter, etc. So therefore, I think it is about time. We are a grown-up society, and there are 50% of people born are women and 50% are male, with plus minus for error. And that means, you have sometimes people of bisexual, so etc. But they are a small, very microscopic number. So 50%, we should take it that 50% men, 50% women. So therefore, it has to be one woman, one man, and that is what needs to be enforced on every society now in India. I don't see anything religious about it. It's a secular law, and it's there in the Constitution. Why should you wait any longer?
And the second thing I wanted to suggest, sir, was the population control bill that applies to all. And for that, I wanted the UCC done first, because then everybody is equal. And it's a responsibility for everybody to maintain the balance in the society. And I have so many instances, by the way, viewers, people from the PMO office, people from anybody's office, if you want to get data, look no further than PGurus articles. I had one very, very, very interesting article that we wrote about. Dr. Swamy, believe it or not, there are some members of a particular religion who double register their children's births. Double register, sir. One in Delhi, one in UP. You see, so it is the way these things are being done is just mind-boggling, Dr. Swamy. The thing is, why isn't this simple, basic idea permeating into everybody's head that you are a human being first, then you are the citizen of a particular country, then you are from a particular state, then you may be professing a certain religion. The order is fixed. This is how the world order is today, and yet some are being preached. not to follow this thing. And these are the things where that national identity comes, and that's why I'm so insistent that we have to do these three things. Your thoughts on the population control bill, sir? Because I know it is controversial, but I see no other option. Please let me know what your thoughts are, sir.
I don't think the government of India has brought any population control bill. There are some private members' bills, including mine. And mine is on the grounds that I don't want population control. I want population management, in the sense that people should have only the number of children that they can educate, and also have time for their own personal life and pursuits. And I would say that if you don't want a stationary population, but a slowly increasing population, you should have 3 children, and 2 children will be the status quo. So, and 1 children will be disaster, as the Chinese have now found. So, therefore, these 3 children should be a maximum. I'm not saying that everybody must have 3 children. I'm saying that if you want to have children, you should not exceed 3. Let me also say that some of the things that I hear seem to be based on a little bit of fear, and that fear must be taken out. For instance, take, for example, the Muslims of South India. Their population growth rate is slower, and the number of children per family is smaller than the 5 states of the Hindi belt. I mean, UP. Of course, there the Muslim population also is higher, but the Muslims of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra, they have a slower growth rate of population than the growth rate of population of Hindus in UP. And why? Because the UP, these North Indian states are on the average poorer than the South Indian states. The South Indian states have progressed much faster economically, educationally, and so it reflects. Nevertheless, the difference between the Muslim rate of growth and the Hindu rate of growth in South India is also there. In Christians, we don't have that much difference. The fear that is generated about Christians is this proselytization, which is highly exaggerated, and it is used basically to advance a political agenda of somebody who's been defeated in the election. So I would like to have one thing very clear. We need to have a slowly tapering down of population growth from the rates we had earlier. I think if our population can grow at 1% per year, that'll be fine. At the moment, it is 1.7% per year. Earlier on, after independence, medicines came and malaria was eliminated, typhoid, cholera, all these were eliminated. Our growth rate had gone to 2.2, 2.3. And now, since then, it has been coming down. It's not been coming down because of vigorous family planning measures that we adopted. It's because people's per capita income has gone up. People have got now aspirations to send their children to IITs and so on, which would have never even dreamt in those days in 1970s and 1940s and 50s and 60s. So I think this panic that population may go out of control is something which it has to be seen in a very limited dimension. I certainly would like to see that the religious groups do not permit propaganda that they should produce more children, or have a marriage system by which they can produce more system, like 4 marriages, 4 women to 1 man, that sort of thing. And but at the same time recognize that if a educated group of all minorities in India, they have growth rates which are commensurate with their economic status.
Absolutely, Dr. Swamy. I mean, the number of children you have directly determines how well you are going to be able to provide for their future. I mean, they do need help while through their growth years, only when they are like 18, 20, 21, sometimes even more than that, before they can find their own feet. And the third thing, sir, here is the
Now,
National Registry.
before you go
Yes,
further, let me add one thing.
yes, sir.
I once asked a lady who, when I had gone for a political program, I had to pass through a village, and then we had to stop and sit down under the shade of a tree and have some lunch. And there's a lady who said that she could bring us water, and so then I began talking to her how many children she had. She said she had 6. So I said, why 6? She says, well, all of them will start helping me in my work. They will do some other work. Maybe they'll help my husband's shop. And, with that kind of collection of income, we can afford a better living than my parents did. This is what the lady said. But I said, why don't you send them to school, colleges, and then they will earn 3 times, 10 times more. So then he said, well, where is the opportunity? So I said, you don't have a school nearby? He said, no, it is 9 miles away, 9 kilometers away. So how can I send my daughter? I said, what about your son? He says, we send him for child labor to factories which are near, which come themselves. They bring their own buses. They take the boys, and then in the evening they drop them, and they start earning. So, therefore, make education universal and make it free for everybody. And it's not a very big expense. I've done the calculation. And then if they go to IIT, so on, ask them to make the banks give them loans not on the basis of mortgages, but on a bond which they should sign, saying that after they graduate and after they will start earning a percentage of their income, they will start returning to give back the loan. You will see that there will be a sea change of attitude. Indians have a huge tradition of education. They have great regard for even today educated people. I myself see, I have a PhD from Harvard, left America and came. I give lectures which are, on the Shastras. All this has a huge impact on the public. We are one of the countries which I think our Hindu religion in particular has put education, jnani, a jnani and a tyagi and a sahasi, a courageous man. These is the gunas which a Brahmin has to have. Otherwise, he's not a Brahmin. So let us understand that there is no forcible method, because Mrs. Gandhi tried that and she paid a heavy price for that. Indians are I find even within my servant population, they do their best to control population according to the situation they are in. So I would say that please don't let this panic come about Pakistan. The Muslim majority can never come about in India. What are they worried about? And I agree that there is a genuine reason to have this in your mind, because you partitioned the country on the basis of religion, and you are noble enough to say, if you don't want to leave, you can stay here without telling them on what conditions. Whereas in Pakistan, whoever stayed, they butchered them. Now we had 12% population in Pakistan of Hindus in 1950. Today it is down to 1%. Has anybody talked about genocide in Pakistan? In Bangladesh, you have 32% in 1950, and that is it was part of Pakistan. But it is Bangladesh territory, that is the East Pakistan, and then later on Bangladesh. 32% Hindus, and they are down now to 7%. When I say that no, we have to evict all illegally arriving Bangladesh Muslims, they say no. Why? They are coming here for refuge. You can't give. I said, what refuge? They wanted a separate country. We gave that. Having got the separate country, you want to come back to the very country which has given away its territory and want to live here. So either Bangladesh should give us a proportion of their territory back to us, saying that that proportion of Bengali Muslims who have come to India, that much land you can give. If today we have to get them that proportion, then take the Bangladesh map and put from Sylhet to Khulna, a line. It's almost a parallel line. Every part of the part above above that line, India deserves it, because India has accommodated so many Bangladeshis over the last 50, 70 years. So people don't want to talk about this. Either there's, oh, I'm liberal, anybody can come, this is a dharamshala, just bring your chatai and put down and go to sleep here. That is not, India cannot accept that.
So, if I understand you correctly, you think that fears about a particular religion growing faster than the others are perhaps overblown. Dr. Swamy, let's take a look at not one thing, but the infrastructure. How much of population?
Again, I will have to interrupt you. Sorry. Faster than Hindus, Muslims, yes, they are, because they're poorer. But not so fast that they will overtake you in another 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. I don't think even 300 years. By then, of course, the Muslims also may become prosperous, and then their rate of growth will go down. So that's what I mean.
Sir, there is one thing that you will notice. If things are normal, it doesn't matter which religion you belong to. If you're taught the same set of principles, that is fine. But that is the problem that I see, that you have places where it is being told that your priorities are not what I just set out by saying that this is the order, this is the world order, and people are refusing to accept that. And this is where the friction point comes, Dr. Swamy. And I can also tell you, Dr. Swamy, from my personal experience, there are so many people who are of Islamic faith who have come and helped, and they did it because they care for fellow human beings. So this is not about a particular religion. This is about everyone that is from Bharatavarsha, because we are all Sanatanis at heart. That is my way of looking at it. You may have a different religion, but there is the underlying dharma is the same. Dr. Swamy, the challenge that I see is, infrastructure wise, I think thanks to Mr. Gadkari's, really proactive approach, a lot of stuff has been accomplished by this government. However, having said all that, the infrastructure still is not able to keep up with the growth. That is where my bigger concern comes about the population growth, that we are not able to sustain it, because it's more and more. You have to create more jobs. Even you assume that everybody gets an education, that education has to have an outlet, Dr. Swamy, and that is where the other problem comes. Provide for well-paying jobs, and that is we shouldn't go into economy right now, because that is where that problem is to be solved. However, the basic premise is that everyone has to be responsible, needs to think responsibly. How much can I afford in my current situation as a family? And this is the question that I would like each and every one to ask of ourselves. I think many people who are educated, who have crossed that thing into the middle class, they know what it is. This is where the challenge is. And Dr. Swamy, the third thing about National Registry of Citizens, this is a must, because part of the reason, if you look at it, this illegal immigration or selectively placing people in areas. I mean, I'll give you a broad stroke, Dr. Swamy. You can agree with me or you cannot agree with me. It doesn't matter. About 150 Lok Sabha seats are what in US they call as swing seats. It can go either way, this way or that way. And that is where the maximum amount of what I call as massaging happens, where they strategically bring people in. And you can only bring people in who are displaced, because somebody who's already put down roots, even if somebody came from Bangladesh 30 years ago, that person is probably not going to be willing to move. The only ones who are willing to move are the ones who are being brought from outside, because they have to put roots somewhere, and this is being strategically decided by some parties. And I hate to say this thing, the opposition in India is Dr. Swamy. It's a hard fact. Yeah, accept it, Congressites, accept it, Samajwadis, accept it, DMK lumpens. You don't know what being an opposition is. And I will tell you what being an opposition is, but then I'm not the person to be, asked anyway. So the question here, Dr. Swamy, is the NRC, this whole CAA rioting and anti-CIA stance, taking it and asking city councils in US to start passing resolutions, Indians should be ashamed of themselves to try and export their situation to somewhere else, bribe some city council officials and say, you shall vote on this. And those guys look at it, I don't know where this city is. I don't know what CAA means. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my constituency. It doesn't affect my state. It doesn't affect my country. These people are giving me money. Therefore, I shall vote for it. This is how it has played out, sir.
That's a gross exaggeration.
No. This part, the CAA, this is, I'm saying I've been in front seat, looking at ringside seat, looking at all the things that happened in US. But other things you can.
I'm not talking about the US.
Yeah.
See, first of all, you said something about education in the beginning. I ask you, when Mrs. Gandhi declared the emergency, anyone who had any love for democracy would have opposed it. And therefore, when she made the miscalculation of holding the elections, the educated people at least should have voted for her, not voted for her. But you found the entire South wiped us out. The Janata Party, it was nowhere in the South, in the 4 southern states. And they're supposed to be more educated than the illiterates of UP, Bihar, Punjab, Haryana, etc., etc., the Hindi belt as it's called. And it's the Hindi belt who voted Indira Gandhi out. Not just simply here and there, but every seat, including her seat and her son's seat. So where is this talk of yours on education?
If I might interrupt one small interjection, sir. Is it possible, since you were there, you lived through that, is it possible that the emergency excesses were more in the northern India than in the southern part of India?
Oh, come on now. This is in India, nothing is a secret. If their emergencies was worse in North India, if it was true, I don't believe it's true. If it was true that the northerners had a harsher emergency than the southern states, then at least they would have got the news. Just because there was a censorship, you don't think in India news we have a tradition of word of mouth. Everybody knew. I went to the south underground, and what did my relatives tell me? That's all right, but we need some discipline. I said, you are ready to give up democracy for discipline? What is democracy? We don't get anything. We go and vote, and somebody else becomes in the office. The cynicism was unbelievable from educated people. And I knew from day one that the South is not going to vote for us. So in India, there are many things you have to understand. You see, you have to know that there is a long history, long memory. Our people may be poor, but they've got tremendous common sense. And where the English is strong, the British have brainwashed you. Like now the DMK guy is telling me they're a separate race. What nonsense. There's only one way to find out whether you're a separate race, and that is to take your DNA test, and you'll find it's the same. And there's no evidence whatsoever that anybody came from outside India. The British say so, but who the hell cares for the British today? They are gone. So let us be very clear. India is a democracy because we are a traditionally democratic country. And at least the Hindus have the thing that Sarva Dharma Samabhava. You your way, I way. We don't have one God. We don't have one book. So, I mean, this is a thing, so many gods. But God is one. But that is theology. So, My view is that um, what we need is, this matter arose out of population control. I would say if your economy is bad and therefore population makes it worse, then you are incompetent, because India can grow at 10% per year for years and years. In the 1960s and 70s, when as a young professor I said India can grow at 10% per year, not at 3.5% per year, all your leading economists, including Mr. Amartya Sen, laughed in a seminar that I had to hold in the Delhi School of Economics. 10%. And it was Narasimha Rao. He raised the growth rate in 5 years from 3.5% to 9% or 8.5%. It could be done. And since then, we have had 8, 9, 7, like that. But in my opinion, we can grow at 10% per year, because not because we don't have the resources. We are not. No, we are incompetent. You don't know how to do it. Narasimha Rao knew how to do it, in the sense he knew who to ask on how it is to be done. So that is the mindset. You must demand, I must have 10% growth rate, otherwise you're out you go. He's a nice man, he's a good man. And the giving of money and voting out, you can't then explain why DMK loses every 5 years, why ADMK loses every 5 years, why in North India Mrs. Gandhi could not bribe all the voters. Do you think she didn't give money? She gave plenty of money. And why she lost her own constituency of Raebareli. So start with the premise that India has got the potential, and the question is what we have to do. You want population to grow slowly, educate everybody, make the economy flourish, not the other way around. That control your population so that economy can grow. No, economy grows and then population slows down. So that is the way to do it. And the way, if you want people to, and now today I can tell you, even I wouldn't say those in utter poverty, but poor people, they use contraceptives, and they know where to get an abortion, because in India abortion is legal. So therefore, what are the good things that are happening in India should be focused on, and incompetent leadership shouldn't make you depressed.
So, so far we have touched upon two topics, Dr. Swamy. One was, of course, Uniform Civil Code, which both of us are in agreement. And in population control, we are not. Let's set us aside. Third thing is National Registry for Citizens. I see a crying need for it, because I want there is a law here. There's a law here. Only the citizen of a particular country can vote. Dr. Swamy, I'll tell you one small problem. As Indians, we say, oh, Pakistan is an exporter of terrorism. What about India? India has exported toolkit politics. I see the same thing happening in UK. I see the same thing happening in US. So I am concerned that this toolkit philosophy is finding its way into this country also. Point I am saying is, if it is something good,
will you explain toolkit a bit so that the audience who are not familiar with this new terminology?
Well, the audience, you are smarter than I am. Toolkit politics is where the narrative gets set by a small group of people, and within half an hour to 1 hour, and from all parts of the world, the same thing, sometimes with the same grammatical error, will get tweeted out, shared on Facebook, what have you. I mean, it's like an instant uproar is being created. And suddenly the narrative is set to that, and for the next, and then the channels are ready to talk about that, and then go on and completely obliterate anything else that could be of substance that is happening around the world. So that is what is toolkit politics. The narrative is set by a small set of people, and they have the ecosystem spread completely across the world. Unfortunately, everybody was asleep at the wheel when this was happening quietly, but it has happened. The left ecosystem has a cast iron control on many aspects of media, many aspects of social studies. Today, I just can go on. This is all, we are all feeling it now. Unfortunately, the point I was trying to say was NRC is needed because the boundaries are fixed. Anybody, if he's born in India, has to have an Indian passport to seek employment outside. When you have that rule, you agree that I have to get an Indian passport to go abroad, then let us make sure that I have to be an Indian to vote.
Well, first of all, on NRC, anybody who's illegally in this country has to be expelled. We are a country which is a huge population. We're not short of population. Like America has got so much land, they can accommodate 2/3 of the world. And that land, of course, they got by what means you know. We are a country which, an ancient country, and had to go through hell for 600 years of Islamic rule. Another 200 years of hell with the British, all siphoning out our resources, butchering our people, creating fear in their minds, all that. And yet we have come out. We got freedom. And having got freedom with hardly any experience, we were able to put together a government and we held elections. Now our neighbor broke into two, and that is Pakistan broke into two. Maybe it will break into 4 soon. Soviet Union broke into 16 with the most highly controlled government. Yugoslavia broke into 4. But we did not, despite all this talk about our differences and so on, we have not broken with all these variety of languages and so on. So only thing is that population from abroad, if they are coming from Bangladesh, they have no bloody business to come, because we created a country for Muslims who didn't want to live in India. Now, having got that territory, you want to now come and live in India? Under no circumstance we can accept. Yes, somebody like some poet is singled out by the mullahs and she wants to escape. We give them, we offered them. Or somebody like Tariq Fateh, intellectual, and the Muslims intellectuals, there's a contradiction in term, don't want to listen to him and they want to kill him. So if he wants citizenship, 100. There's a singer called Swamy, we gave him a citizenship. But if you have come here and you have come here illegally, then you have to be deported. And in deporting process, we not just looked for passport, we have looked for many other factors. That's why it's taking so much time. And we are taking out people who were in the list. We took them out because there was the shadow of doubt, the extent of doubt was much greater than the extent of our conviction that they are outsiders. So we are being as fair as it's possible. So India has to do more than that. It's not enough to have our own people, but we must have a common language like Sanskrit, and we must develop it to the point where everybody knows not only their mother tongue, but they know Sanskrit too. And that's there in the Constitution. In the Constitution, it says that Hindi shall be the official language, but it shall have Sanskrit words. It shall borrow from Sanskrit explicitly. Please see the Constitution. So this is a thing that had kept our country together. The Shankaracharya was able to go from Kerala to Kashmir, and so by just speaking Sanskrit, and all our spiritual literature, our religious literature is in Sanskrit. And Sanskrit is now going to be the language of the future because of artificial intelligence. It has been proved. If you go to Google, you can see that St. James School in London, they are making their children from 6 to 11 recite Sanskrit shlokas for half an hour every morning, because the principal openly says that if you recite Sanskrit shlokas, your brain development is better than if you don't. So, with all this heritage coming back to us, yoga came back to us only because of foreigners. When I was a schoolboy, we used to laugh at all this contortion called yoga. And today it is now the world over. So let us preserve this country in its originality, and we can't just make this as a grazing ground for anybody who wants to come and have to fill his belly.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swamy. And I think it's time to open the floor for some questions. Let's have the first question, please. Rohit Kumar wants to know, Swamy sir, still we see school history books full of Muslim rulers. What is stopping government to implement real history of great Indian kings in books?
I agree 100% with him. It's a shame. We have appointed, Mr. Modi has appointed education ministers who I don't think know anything about education. There were exceptions, but they were removed, transferred. Smriti Irani did a very good job. Javadekar also was very good. But since then, if you have to make somebody a minister but don't know where, put him in education. That's how it is going on. What about my suggestion in 2014 that to change our perceptions about the history, you need books for schools, colleges. So textbooks have to be written. So how is it to be done? I said, ask Rajiv Malhotra to be made chairman. Ask him to become chairman, come and live in India for the time being, and let him select a committee. And then let him prescribe, write out those books, which should be made into school compulsory reading. The matter would have been over. In 5 years, it would have been over. Now we have been to the 7th or 8th year, and we still haven't done it because the bureaucrats want a share in it, and our ministers of education haven't had the nerve to tell them, you got nothing to do with education. So I'm going to get somebody from outside who's an intellectual, who's a scholar, who's lived challenging the established system. So the question basically is that when you start thinking alike, then you work out in United India. Why in Virat Hindustan Sangam we say these five principles you should know? Your identity. What's your identity? Why you should learn Sanskrit? Why you should know the true history of India? Why integral humanism, where economic development must blend with spiritual progress, because we don't want to be like the Westerners, all pleasure, eat more, get fatter more. No, we want this blend between spiritual growth and economic development. And so, these are the Ram Rajya. We talk about Ram Rajya. People talk loosely about Ram Rajya, but the actual concept of Ram Rajya, if you see how modern it was, take Chanakya also add to that, and people will know what kind of government we should have. Why is it that such a great religion has no single God? We have Ishwar, but he is not manifested. But we have so many gods, and there's no clash. So therefore, I would say that the writing of history is an extremely important thing for a oneness. And I think the Muslims should also know that once they've chosen to live in this country, and their DNA studies all show that they are also the same DNA as us, which means they are converted people. Therefore, they can have religion as they like, as what they are, and practice it freely without obstruction. But your cultural outlook should be one. And that is what I've been propagating. I've seen Indians in America, they're also dressed in suit boot, wearing tie, and of course they do it in India also, the inferiority complex. Many of our ministers are wearing suit boot, they look like waiters, but they still do it. I'm saying that if in the United States Muslims wear the Western dress, what's the difficulty for them to wear kurta pajama here or dhoti pajama here or sari? If sari is a little cumbersome, then salwar kameez. So I think people who are willing to submit to uniformity in other countries, they don't want to submit to some uniformity in India. That's where the problem comes. And NRC is also connected, in a simple way with CAA, where people who ran away because of religious persecution to India have been waiting now for 70 years to get citizenship. Their children are waiting now. Their parents have died. The children are waiting. Why? This is something that should have been done a long time ago. And when we do it, there's such a halabulla. Why the Muslims are not there? No Muslim is ready to come on religious persecution from Pakistan to India so far. I'd like you to find one name who came and we refused him citizenship. Did we refuse citizenship to Swamy, that singer in Bollywood? Did we refuse the poet from Bangladesh, Taslima? And similarly, our intellectual from Canada? Did we ever say no to him? But they chose different citizenship. That's fine with that, but they are always welcome in India because they speak a language which is in consonation with the kind of liberal thinking that the Hindus have. Sorry for taking so long. Next question, I'll be brief.
Yeah, Tiger Sharma wants to know, I love Swami Sir very much. Sir, why Indians don't want to reduce population growth despite the fact that population is root problem of all problems of India? Is it to do with population jihad?
Indian population has been decelerating. Please see the growth rate in 1950, 60, then 60, 70, because the census is held in every decade.
Every 10 years, yeah.
So it has been going down. It's today 1.6. Somebody telephoned me, sent me a telephonic message saying, no, it's not 1.7 as you said, but 1.6 now. It's coming down. I may be against the kind of population regimentation, no, I wouldn't call regimented discipline that our Sri Guru wanted, and therefore we have differences. But I also have only 2 children because I can't, be able to bring up more than 2 children. I just don't have the time, and it get diluted. If I have more children. Same thing with the PGurus. He has a different opinion, but the number of children is the same too. Why? Because this is a thing that comes automatically. That yes, there is a chance my son will become a scholar, my daughter will become a scholar, or a lawyer, or a doctor, or something. But I can't afford for 10 children to go to these advanced schooling. So therefore, I must have few children. It is done automatically, and that is why it is slowing down, because people are now beginning to see that it's all within reach. You don't have to force them. It's not I who invented this thinking. It was my teacher, Simon Kuznets, who wrote in 1965, and he was called brickbats for it, in the American Philosophical Magazine, something very prestigious one. And then I converted that into a mathematical analysis and published it in one of my books. That population, the economic development will automatically decline. If your economic development increases and you have more money in your pocket, doesn't mean you'll have more children. You will have less children because you want your children to have more ahead than you got. So that's a phenomenon we see all over the world. And as your feeling of independence grows, the population may come to a stop, like in Greece, in Europe, many parts of Europe. Their population is shrinking. So I don't think you should be panicked by this population. Yes, tell people, give them freedom. They have If the woman gets pregnant and she says, "No, I don't want the baby," yeah, you have freedom. And not like America, where I think all kinds of vigilante groups are manning the street. In India, nobody objects. You don't want it, don't want it. It's up to you.
Next question from Anshuman Singh. Sir, are you aware that police reforms have already been secretly brought by intervention of foreign funded NGOs? Don't you think it is concerning?
Well, if it's true, it's concerning. I'll check up. I don't have this feeling. I move very closely with police. In fact, my house is guarded by 16 policemen. Some of them are with Sten guns and things like that. The CRP and Delhi police. So I keep asking them about their problems and what kind of training they get. They are all very highly patriotic people. No, I didn't hear this, but I will check up, because if you have said it, I must give it at least a checkup.
I think that's all the questions we have. Dr. Swamy, this was a most invigorating discussion we had. As like you said, you're not going to agree on everything, but that's fine. That is where the true, tarka, the debate comes across. And, I'm sure our viewers have, made their own decisions on what it is that India needs. The important thing here is that it is good that we get to talk about these things in some depth. It's not a 1 minute soundbite in a 1 hour show, but it's an in depth. You can lay out the ideas. As always, Dr. Swamy, pleasure to have you on our channel. We'll be back 2 weeks from now, and same time, same channel. Namaskar.
Good. Namaskar.